40,000 square foot warehouse where we house mostly residential furniture. So when people are transitioning between homes and the closing's on the line, that's okay. We'll bring all the stuff back here, we'll hold it, and then when you close on your new house, we'll bring it right to you. I like going to houses that I never would have ever been able to be in before. Just kind of gave me like a false reality for a little bit. You know, once you start moving, you start going into $1 million houses every day, and you see what's possible.
So this is people that are moving, in the process of moving, not like this is like storage or anything like that, right?
Yeah, some of it is. 99% of it is people that are in the process of moving. Yeah, we got some commercial accounts, interior designers, stuff like that.
Okay. How long y'all been in this spot?
A year.
A year?
Yeah, a year. Before we were in a little 800 square foot office. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, so we do anything from, you know, a day to whenever you need. So we can do long term here, and we do.
Tell me the 2-year story.
Oh man, so this guy called us this was actually when we first got this warehouse. This guy called us and very openly just told one of our sales reps that he had something in his past and he was going to federal prison to try to clean up his act. He was going to turn himself in, and that he just needed us to hold his stuff while he was doing his time, per se.
Wow.
Yeah, just openly told it to the sales rep, and we're like, okay, cool. If you give us a credit card and you know there's nothing hidden in this furniture, then we'll gladly store it for you.
That is super. That's one of those things you don't even think about, right? Like what am I going to do with my stuff when I go to jail?
Yeah, no, right?
That's wild.
Well, now you know Swamp Rabbit Moving will house your stuff when you go to jail.
So what is all that over there?
So this is where our warehouse guy has his desk. That's a bunch of tools I just bought. And anything that needs to get repaired, there's 1 or 2 items over there that need to get repaired, we'll do the repairs over there.
That paddle ball? I mean,
pickleball court? Yeah, we got it taped off over there. We got it taped off, and then like anything that won't fit in vaults or anything that's like, say we filled a vault up and there's just one piece left, we'll just rack it on the racks over there.
What are all this, printers?
Yep, so we got a contract. Any printers leased through Sharp, when they come off a lease, we get them back until they go back out. So we'll receive it, hold it, and then.
How do you get that, not that contract, but how do you figure out that that's a thing? Do they reach out to you? Networking?
Yeah, met them through networking, yeah.
Word, okay. What all networking groups are you a part of?
A lot.
A lot.
Me, not really anymore.
Yeah.
But my team is.
Yeah.
So now we've built out a team, you know, instead of me only having the capability of me networking, now we have the capability of 4 or 5 sales reps.
How is that, how does that work out for you in the legal space? A lot of people say like it might be different for this, but like people are hiring the human, not the company. And so like it's really hard to like have like, for me to send like my office manager to a networking event wouldn't mean much, but probably different for what y'all are doing.
Well, yeah, I think you know, nowadays it's all relationship based. You know, consumers are spending their money based with people they know, right?
Right.
And I think that can translate, whether it's not me, whether it's one of my sales reps. You know, they're still using the same company, it's still me behind it.
Yep.
So it's just getting them to really take that extra step to build that relationship that would be a little bit harder for them, but it's still doable.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool. I didn't think about that as a thing, that you would still be kind of blocking and tackling like that with your team.
Yeah, and what we like to do is we like to ease them into it, right? So like I'll go through the first 1 or 2 with them, ease them in, introduce myself, ease them into it, and then they just take over.
Because that's how we met, was at the Business Builders thing with Don Barber and those guys. So all this stuff is stuff that won't fit in the boxes?
Won't fit in the boxes, or we filled up all the boxes and there was just one piece left or something like that. So we'll just put it on a pallet and put it on a rack.
So when y'all were doing this for, we're not doing this, but when you were in the 800 square foot office, how are y'all handling this kind of stuff? We're just sitting on a truck?
We weren't, yeah.
You weren't?
Yeah, we were just referring them out to self-storage.
So y'all would go pick them up somewhere else and then bring it to some self-storage?
Yeah, or they'd have to set it up, self-storage, and we just deliver it there.
Okay.
But now...
And then pick it up in a week or 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and deliver it.
A word, okay.
But
That's a
now we get
logistical
more
nightmare.
control over it.
Yeah.
And the perks about using us instead of self-storage is like, if you're going to self-storage, you got to think about so much more than just the storage, right? If you want your furniture wrapped with blankets and all that good stuff throughout storage, obviously you got to purchase those blankets.
Yeah.
But with us, you know, you get to keep the blankets on the furniture the whole time.
That's
because
awesome.
we know we're moving it out and we
Yeah.
know we're going to get those blankets back.
Yeah. That's an easy thing for the consumer too, right? Like the customer is like a really easy decision to be like, just take my, not cussed,
Yeah.
just take my, keep my shit, I was just cuss
Yeah.
anyways, keep my shit for the next 3 weeks while I'm closing on my
Yeah,
house.
no,
And then-
absolutely. Then you just got
Yeah.
one person to deal with it.
Yeah. That's great. Do other people do that? Is that something that?
This
most-
right here,
Yeah.
this is very common in like the national brands like United and
Yep.
Hildrip,
Yep.
and stuff like that. This is very common storage practice.
Word.
Mom and pop shop in this area, not really common.
Okay.
I would say probably the only mom and pop shop doing it here.
Wow.
But in the metropolitan areas, it's very common too
Yeah.
for mom and pop shops to do
To do this
as
kind of
well.
stuff?
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
What's that kind of outlay like for like financial wise? Like, was it knee knocking to make this decision to come into this space, or was it?
Yeah, it was definitely knee knocking. It was we had to overcome a lot to get into here. Huge financial burden, and obviously, like anything in business, everything didn't line up like it was supposed to.
Right.
So we had to pivot and make adjustments and take a chance, and the chance is paying off.
I remember you doing like I said earlier. Like I remember this kind of brewing, and you
Yeah.
talking about this at some of the meetings. But I didn't understand what you were doing, like what this meant, like what part of the conveyor belt, so to speak, did
Yeah.
it fit?
Yeah, no, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. You can't really. It's not something really you can talk about and people understand. You kind of just have to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we had like our SBA financing. It didn't close when it was supposed to close, so we had to financially carry that burden until it closed. Just a lot of stuff that goes into it. Just typical business stuff that
right.
you kind of got to have the heart for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to be able to see long term too. Like we're just now starting to see a small profit monthly.
Okay.
We haven't recouped all our expenses, but we're starting to see a monthly
Coverage of the nut.
green number. Yeah.
That's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling.
And do you have any other warehouses around, or is this the
is
only
it.
one y'all got?
This is the
Okay.
only one. Yep.
So when I was a kid, my dad, so my stepdad, owned like a little small grocery store
Yeah.
downtown Greenville. It's now a Dollar Tree, and that business went under. And after that, he started doing a salvage business where like the truck would wreck
Yeah.
that maybe had pinto beans in it or something
Yeah.
like that, and we would go to the side of the road and get all of the damaged products up,
Yeah.
bring them back to a warehouse like this, and
Auction
work
them
them,
off.
clean them off, yeah, and sell them, put them in new boxes and sell them off. And so being in here, he had contracts with like Frederickson, like big
Yeah.
trucks, and so there was a lot of times there'd be like furniture and shit that got damaged, and
Yeah.
we'd go through there, and we'd walk through this place like it was over in Greer, similar place like this, and my dad would be like, $1 for that, 50 cents for that,
Yeah.
and we'd go bring it all back to the warehouse, and it just makes me feel like I'm a kid going to work. This is a lot cleaner than what we worked in.
Yeah, we're pretty strict on how clean we keep it.
Yeah. I don't know where you're from. Are you from around here?
Yeah, I'm from here, born and raised.
Where'd you go to high school?
Well, I kind of bounced around as a kid. So we grew up kind of in like a poorish state,
Okay.
you know, so we were always getting evicted. I've lived in Piedmont, Pels, or Greenville. I mean, anywhere you can name in the upstate, I've went. Or any school you can name in the upstate, I've
Right.
probably been there.
Okay.
I didn't graduate high school. I wound up going to a last chance military school called Willow Gray Opportunity. You go for like
Willow Gray?
Willow Gray.
Willow Gray, okay.
You go there for like 6 months, stay there, and then at the end you take your GED test and get your GED
Whoa, where is that?
in Columbia.
In Columbia?
Yeah, it's not too far from Camden.
Okay.
So that's where I went. I went to Eastside and Burns, but just very bad kid.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say bad, just misled.
Right. Yeah.
Always had good intentions.
So what after the GED down there? What did you do after that?
After that, I went to Greenville Tech
Okay.
for specialized welding. I did that for, maybe 6-7 years.
Oh, wow.
In different different ways. You know, I did pipe welding, I did fabrication, I've done manufacturing, did all that. During that time frame, you know, I was struggling with some personal things.
Okay.
Went to Florida, got some help for that, came back, and met somebody in a meeting that worked at another local moving company, Tiger Moving.
Yep. Okay.
And they're like, hey man, you should come here. I was kind of burnt out from welding. Gave it a shot, and I just fell in love with it.
Wow.
I like meeting new people. I like going to houses that I never would have ever been able to be in
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Just kind of gave me like a false reality for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Does it give you a little bit of an imagination of what might be, I guess?
like
maybe?
possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
this is possible. Like you see people. I mean, once you start moving, you start going into $1 million houses every day,
Right.
and you see what's possible.
Yeah.
And then you get to know them and what they do for
And you
work.
realize that it's not always some fancy.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah. I mean, it's just a guy like me and you
Yeah.
that devoted his time to a certain thing, and it took off, and you know, it paid off.
So, and you can tell me you don't want to talk about this, but what took you to Florida?
So I just had some like drug issues, drug
Yeah.
addiction. Growing up, both my parents struggled with addiction, both in and out of the prison, and naturally, I just kind of fell down that path.
Yep.
My mom, when she got out, she completely changed her life, and that kind of inspired me to do
Wow.
the same. Yeah. So I had been to rehab more times than the fingers I have on my hand,
All right.
and probably jail too. But after seeing my mom get out and kind of change her life and
Wow.
find Jesus and all that, it kind of inspired me, and that was what truly made the switch. It wasn't like me going to rehab made the switch. It was,
Right.
you know, having that positive influence in my
And
life.
was that the trigger to go to Florida, or was that something that happened post Florida?
It was in between. So it was post Florida, in between. You know, I had went to Florida, came back, went to Florida, came back, went to Florida. You know, it was a
lot.
long road.
Right. Yeah. Long. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
When you start working at Tiger Moving, when is that? When is that?
That would have been, man. I probably started working at Tiger Moving in 2016, 2017.
Okay. Were you married then?
Not married.
Not married.
Had 2 kids. Still a little wild.
Okay.
Living the bachelor life.
Yep. Yeah. Still got a little fuse running.
Little fuse running. Living the typical mover lifestyle. Partying, spending all your tip money.
Right. Right.
And then back to work the next
Is
day.
it so when you're working at Tiger Moving, and when do you, like, what's the impetus, or how do you figure out, I'm gonna go get my own truck and do this
Yeah.
on my own? Tell me about that. What is
So
that?
during that time frame that I was at Tiger Moving, I was actually driving a moped.
Okay.
I had lost my license for 5 years. I was driving a moped, and I always knew I wanted to start a business because my grandpa was my
So you're
role
not
model.
driving the moving truck, you're the rider in the moving truck.
Oh yeah, I was just a mover. I was just a rider. Yeah, yeah. I was not driving. The only thing I was driving was I forgot what they called it. I had a pretty nice moped.
We need to have like a.
It was a
We need
ruckus.
to have a moped.
That's what it was called.
A ruckus.
A ruckus.
Okay, a ruckus.
Yeah. But yeah, so I knew I'd always wanted to do my own business. I just didn't know in what field because my grandpa was my role model, and he always owned his own truck lot. And then I started to do side jobs and getting people to drive the U-Hauls for me. And then the week I got my license back is when I started Swamp Rabbit Moving. And I knew that I wanted to start a moving company because I saw Tiger Moving was a great company, but I saw, and still is, I'm sure, but I saw a gap between the management level staff and then the field staff. And there was just like a culture divide. It was
Okay.
like always pointing fingers. Like it's either management or it's movers. Not anything of, they never took it as we have an issue and we need to solve it as a team. It was
Yeah.
always like, oh, it's the mover's fault. Oh, it's the management's fault. So I knew if I could bridge that gap and build that culture piece inside the business, I would have something special.
So you had that much kind of, I guess, imagination. I mean, imagination's the right word, but like that much of a awareness.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was always really smart. Like as all the difficulties I had, I was always really smart. I always had a lot of, I guess you would call it street smart, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of common sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I always used to hear. I was like, Chris, you got so much potential. You just need to straighten up. Well, I mean, the famous words.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just everybody. But yeah, I just knew if I could do that, we'd have something special. So bought a truck, you know, spent every last penny I had. I think I had $100 left after I bought my first truck.
Wow.
And just took off.
And so what do you do then? You have a truck. How do you get your first, thing? How do you get your first deal?
Yeah, so I had started doing deliveries for an antique house over off Malton Road called Rock House Antiques.
Okay. How'd you come about that?
I had done a job for Tiger Moving, and the people we were doing the job for, they had a lot of stuff, like a lot of onesies and twosies deliveries where they couldn't really afford to pay Tiger Moving, so they would pay like $100 to deliver it. And
right.
So naturally, we picked that up.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to go into people's houses, show them my quality work, and then they started referring us to their friends for actual moving.
Yep. Yep.
And then all that came about. So we had a pretty good lead flow going into it.
Word.
Yeah.
At what point in time when do you get married? When do you get married in this stream of things?
Yeah, so I got married
This before you open up shop?
Yeah, we got
after?
married before we officially opened. Got married probably 3 months before we officially started Swamp Rabbit Moving. During that time, I was doing a lot of side jobs, and it's kind of out on my own already, but just not official.
Yeah.
And then we had our youngest child 7 days after I started Swamp Rabbit Moving. So I was actually in the hospital room booking jobs and like dispatching jobs. It was a crazy time.
When was I guess you probably had an employee right off the rip, huh? Or
yeah, I started out with like 3 guys. 3 guys came with me from Tiger. Started out and then just grew from there.
Man, how do you make payroll the first time? Or are you paying by the job? I mean, I'm just trying to.
At that point, we were just paying by the job. So at the end of the day, I would just Venmo them, whatever it was.
Well, okay.
Then once I got a little bit saved up, then we just structured. And as we got more dialed in, obviously the more we have to dial in on the actual process of how it really has to happen.
Right. I was just thinking like, you start a business with no capital, no cash flow, no nothing, and you're like, okay, now I have to make payroll. But I think this is the kind of business that you could start off and
very low overhead.
Yeah,
right?
very
Like
low
I was
overhead.
parking the truck in my apartment complex at the time.
Yeah.
The only expense I had, the truck was paid for clean and clear. The only expense I had was really insurance at the time.
Yeah.
And that was.
So I think the guys that I've used in the past, it was a small shop kind of place.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
All it was like, I think everything was like.
Yeah, cash deal.
At the end of the day, you can see the deal
being done,
transpiring. Yeah. And, yeah. So let's see here. When do you think I got this? Is it right off the rip?
Yeah, I got a big head and I'm very confident in my ability to do things. I'm just going to be straight up. I knew.
Yeah.
And I was coming from nothing too, so I had nothing to lose, right?
Right.
Like I told you before, I was living in a dude's dining room on a mattress.
And this is when you first started back at.
When I first started doing side jobs, when I first officially formed, we had got an apartment then on our own. But it was
before that, working at Tiger Moving,
very
you were
short period of time.
Sleeping on
yeah.
Man.
But I knew as long as I stayed focused that I was confident. So I knew from the beginning that I was going to have it. I didn't know it was going to come this fast at this at scale. But once I started delegating, like the first 6 months, I had like real tight grip on everything. I wanted to do everything. I was a mover, I was a driver, I was sales, I was operations, just because I didn't want to relinquish that control.
Yep.
I think every entrepreneur faces that in the beginning.
I know that feeling.
But as I started to delegate, I started to see the revenue grow, my peace of mind grow. So that gave me the ability to really think and strategize on how to further the growth, free up my time. That's when I knew we were about to grow really fast.
It's a funny thing too, like that. I was talking to a friend yesterday. At one level of revenue, you can have a pretty great life, not bust your ass too much.
Yeah.
But then there's like this next little phase of revenue that if you don't have the right team, don't delegate, don't don't send things down the chain, so to speak, you can run yourself ragged and make more money and have a shitty life.
Yes.
And it's not until you make those little, like, that next little, in that phase, you got to delegate so that you can think about new ideas. And it feels like it's like an automatic, like, think. You get into that next phase, and now all of a sudden you're free.
Yes.
It's like your peace of mind, the stress of, is it payroll? What's going on right now? All that kind of stuff
goes away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at a place right now where you lay your head down at night, and you're not worried about.
No, your bills are on auto pay.
That's right.
You ain't got nothing to worry about.
You're not worried about, okay, I need to transfer money from this account over to this account. I need to pay that credit card bill, and then I need to maybe pull this money over here and pay the power bill or whatever, right? It's like, and I think you do that, if you're not careful, you do that into that second level, like, right? Like, it's like, so what's your first great hire?
Great hire?
Yeah. Like, who's the first person you bring, or not who, but like, what's the first thing that really maybe unlocks you a little bit, what we were talking about a minute ago?
The first position that I hired out was operations, because.
And what does that look like for you? Like, what's the operations part look like for you?
Like day-to-day fires, scheduling, dispatching.
Wow, okay.
Inventory management, stuff like that, truck maintenance. That's what operations was back then.
Okay.
And that's all the stuff I hate. I'm not like a detailed guy. I like to hit bullet points, and then I want somebody to take my idea and run with it.
Word, okay.
And then I'm on to the next thing. I don't like to get bogged down for a period of time on one thing, and I don't like giving long information on one thing. I like to paint the picture, like a paint by number, right? I number it. I give you the paintbrush, and I give you the paint. Now you go paint it.
Okay.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
More visionary.
I struggle with the exact opposite of that. I'm a
operations guy. You're an integrator.
I'm a detail guy.
Yeah.
Right. I have a hard time. When I start thinking about something, I go just.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, like not down the drain, but like I go way down in a hole.
Yeah.
Instead of going, here's an idea. Can somebody else figure it out for me?
But any which way you slice it, though, no matter what you are, that's a pro knowing what you are, right? Because now you can get your match.
That's right. Yeah. And that's been a good thing in my office, is getting people that are, I think they're Colby quick start, maybe that's right. Maybe the right terminology, like they're quick starts. Yeah. Whereas I'm a high fact finder.
Yeah.
And you're probably a quick start.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you get the operations, and when does it like? Well, I guess I'm trying to think here. Where do you start learning more and more about this business? Like, I think we've talked about this before, but like, are you learning from Facebook groups and mastermind groups? Are there mover groups like that all around?
Yeah, there are. So Facebook groups was one. I hired a coach very early on, I think within a month of being in business. I think I was actually his first client, but he was a sales rep at a franchise for a moving company and then started his own consulting company. I'm almost positive I was his first client, but that helped me build knowledge on the inside of the industry. What does the back end of the industry look like? What does it look like?
Yeah.
What kind of staffing do you need? All that good stuff.
Marketing,
all that.
Yeah.
So that really helped me there. And then obviously Facebook groups where I could go and ask. I think when I first started, I put in a Facebook moving group. I was like, hey, anybody willing to let me come check out their operations, let me know. And I had a bunch of people reach out. I'm like, hey, you're more than welcome, come check it out. So that's what I did. I just traveled to other moving locations, checked them out, figured out how they function, and then brought that knowledge back and kind of implemented it on my own.
That's wild. Figured out marketing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, marketing, storage, where to gain commercial clients, stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's that stuff that the Facebook group that I met Ryan's wife in. It's one of those things where people that are right down the street from you probably aren't going to tell you how to find clients and how to do better intake, whatever, right? Like
you have to find somebody
that's way off, that can give you the secrets.
And I'm the same way too. Like I'm the same exact way. Like I'm not going to go to the mover right down the road and tell them exactly how I do it because they're my competition.
Right.
I believe in community over competition to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm still trying to feed my family, and I still have a mission to be the largest moving company in South Carolina.
Right.
so I can't go and give all the secret sauce away.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
Yeah, that's great. Oh shit.
While I wish them well and I want to see
Yeah.
them do good, because there is plenty for everybody, I'm just not going to tell them my exact strategy.
Right. I think that's. I mean, it's a battle, right?
Yeah.
It's like I want to collaborate. There's definitely abundant amount of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some things that you might figure out.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's a.
That costs money to figure out.
That's
it costs
right.
time to figure out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And in those one little areas, maybe it's like, you've got one thing that's working for marketing, like a certain kind of ad that you figured out on this one website that you can place an ad and you get, great cost per acquisition or something. Obviously, we normally, eat these things. This is the first time not eating. So let's see here. What's your favorite spot if you're in a truck? I know you don't drive the truck anymore, but if you're in a truck, what's your favorite spot to get food on the road?
Yeah. I think when I was in a truck, my favorite spot would be like something like Clock or something like that, because it's just quick diner food, can appease everybody. You can get something light. The worst thing is when
You
you're
can get something light there?
Yeah, like salad,
What?
whatever.
How do you go to the Clock and get a salad?
More importantly, how do you pound a cheeseburger and then get out there and sweat on the move?
I don't know, but I would have a hard time. Going to the Clock and getting like a chicken Caesar wrap or something.
Yeah,
it would
it's tough. It sucks.
Yeah,
but it
you
sucks
do look
even.
good. I'm pretty sure you.
It sucks even more getting out there after you like house the pizza or something and then just sweat all
Trying
day.
to take a nap. Yeah. All right, so the Clock, Pete's, those great, great places. What's your favorite spot to maybe go if you're going to take your wife out?
We love the Trapdoor.
Trapdoor. Oh yes.
Between the steak, the mussels, whiskey
Yeah.
sours. I mean, they got the best whiskey sours. I'm not drinking right now, but when I was, that was the spot.
I like it. Whiskey sour.
They had the best.
Yeah. You're still in your 1 year? Is that are you doing
1 year?
year?
Yep. Yeah. 1 year's no drinking.
Yeah. Man. I told you. I saw you a couple weeks ago. I'm doing a moderation thing right now. I've had I think 8 or 9 drinks since February.
That's awesome.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's good for your mental clarity.
Yeah. What do you like to go to if you're going to go meet the boys for some food?
I love the Slice right here in Simpsonville. Good pizza.
Love those
good
people.
pasta. Good people.
I'm gonna talk to them.
Yeah.
But we did one of the interviews we've done here. They cooked the food for us when they were over at called the Pasta Addict.
Yeah.
And he prepared like a marinara sauce and noodles for us. And we were in the back in the kitchen and he did it and showed us how he was doing it. And I was like, he put the spaghetti water into the spaghetti noodles and the pasta sauce.
Yeah.
Right before he was serving, I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it made it really creamy. And so now I always do it at home when I'm making this
Nice.
stuff.
Learning the tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
For all of this. I am supremely impressed with the inside of this place.
Thanks, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
This is 8 years, I guess.
No.
8 years. 2016 or no, 2018.
No, we started in 2020.
Oh wow.
I've been in the movie industry since 2016.
That's where my brain was.
So we've been in business 3.5 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Very surreal.
What's your business handles, website, all that kind of stuff?
So it's super complicated. If you want to find us on the website, it's swamprabbitmoving.com. I don't know if you can remember that or not.
No, probably not.
Same thing with Facebook. Same thing with Instagram. Just at Swamp Rabbit Moving.
Look for the teal.
Look for the till. And if you want to follow me personally, I post a lot of stuff about personal journey, a lot of positive stuff. It's just Chris Sweet. And you'll see my beautiful face with a
Handsome.
Swamp Rabbit orange background.
Yeah. Handsome devil.
Yes.